Mark Ratcliffe.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and I hope the front bench in this debate about high-speed rail won't mind me talking about high speed. Of course, capacity is extraordinarily important, and it's not just capacity to relieve the West Coast main line. It is also at least as important, when the Y network comes in, the relief that will give to the East Coast main line and the Midlands main line too. I speak as someone whose constituency is dissected by High Speed 1. We found that the benefits of that appear much greater than the costs, and I speak with that as a strong perspective. And yes, part of that is capacity, but also it is about speed. And it has been a huge advantage for our area that we can get from Ebbsfleet to St Pancras in 17 minutes. And yes, unlike people in Buckinghamshire, we do get that intermediate station, but we also get benefit from the classic lines, which can take me now from Strood to St Pancras in 25 minutes, or through to Stratford in 25, or to St Pancras in 32 minutes. That is bringing huge amounts of additional people, makes it much more attractive to come to Medway, to bring investment, to have commercial and professional leaders wanting to base themselves in Medway. And I believe that Birmingham and Manchester will see similarly. I mean, if you improve the journey time to Manchester, to London, from 2 hours 8 minutes to 1 hour 8 minutes, that is going to be a huge economic boost to Manchester. And I find it absolutely extraordinary when I hear people say, oh, well, actually, it's going to damage Manchester. It's going to suck the growth out of Manchester and all go to London. Well, if they believe that, why don't they have the courage of their convictions and argue to slow the line so it takes 4 hours rather than 2 hours? I give way.
My friend, would you agree with me that East Kent has seen real economic benefits, that wages have been rising faster, unemployment falling faster than the national average because of high-speed rail?
Yes, I certainly would, and I think it's because of those improved journey times. For instance, to Folkestone, the idea there'd be more jobs in Folkestone if it was 2 hours rather than 1 hour, or somehow if you had a man with a red flag in front of the train, that would be the greatest possible economic growth to the north or Folkestone. It's frankly absurd. I give way to the Secretary of State.
To my humble friend, I think he's making a very good point. He's also making the same point that Sir Albert Bohr and Sir Richard Lees would be making to us if they were able to address the House, in the fact that they are the leaders of these councils and say that these lines will bring tremendous benefits to their cities. They're in the best place to know.
I agree with the Secretary of State, and in response to that, I would, however, say that further benefits for these northern cities and Birmingham could be accrued not just if we fulfilled the initial intention of the direct line, direct links through to the continent of Europe, and I understand why the particular way of doing that was previously proposed hasn't gained support. But I hope that we will still look at the possibility of reinstituting a direct connection between HS1 and HS2, and that when we look at the costs and benefits of that, we don't just look at the benefits to the north of being able to get through to Europe, but also for the benefits of people from Manchester, from Birmingham, of being able to go direct through to East London, to Kent, to East Anglia, through a connection through Stratford. Because the works, for instance, that Greenleaf 21 did in this, show that the benefits of those would be absolutely huge. And yes, it would be benefits for my constituents and for people in East London to go from Stratford or Ebbsfleet through to Old Oak Common and to the north, but it would also, I think, significantly add to the benefits of people coming from Birmingham and the north, and I hope that we will look at that. And I believe there is scope within this bill to make these improvements, because to listen to some of the opponents, it's as if they assume that the costs are going to spiral out of control, that the benefits are all being grossly exaggerated. And actually, when I look through the work and the detail of the estimates and the calculations, they strike me as being extraordinarily conservative. We've learnt the lessons that we've had from great infrastructure projects in the past. And if we look at Crossrail, if we look at the Olympics, it is possible to deliver these to time and to budget, and possibly faster or cheaper. And part of the reason for that is actually a very big estimate for contingency has been put in. When people started criticising this, and we heard the opposition front bench say, oh, well, perhaps they wouldn't support it because costs were spiralling, actually what had happened was a substantial contingency had been put in. So of this 42.6 billion, 14.5 billion of that is contingency. And it's not contingency to get to our best estimate of what the cost it's going to be. The contingency has been padded to the degree that we are 95% certain that cost will come in below the number that's been given. And over 4 billion of that contingency is not expected to be used. So, yeah, perhaps some of it could be used for linking HS1 to HS2 with a decent quality link to everyone's benefit. I will very quickly give way.
is he further reassured by the fact that this is led by Sir David Higgins, whose estimates for the Olympics, including a substantial so-called optimism bias, turned out to be entirely accurate?
I am, and I consider there is a degree of pessimism bias. And you've taken out 700 million for this link, and it's just been absorbed into even more contingency. I think that contingency is much too high. I think it will come in significantly below where those estimates are. And that's just on the cost side. Because I would also look at the benefit side, and there's a lot of talk about working on trains and that issue and how that's calculated. But actually much more important, when we're projecting the growth of traffic and looking at the benefits, even though over the last 10 years, long-distance rail travel has grown by 5.2% each and every year on average, we're assuming that going forward, it's only going to grow by 2.2% per year. I just don't understand why suddenly there's going to be this collapse in the growth rate for rail traffic, and it's on that basis the projections are made. Furthermore, we're assuming that once we get to 2036, only 3 years after it's been completed, there'll be no further growth in traffic at all. So actually, if we have some more realistic calculations on both benefits and costs, this becomes an even more attractive project, and I believe it will be even more attractive still if we have a proper link with HS2 and HS1 to bring benefits to all.